بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So today I'm going to be doing a commentary and review of a discussion I had with the Atheist a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So let's get into it.
Sure, what's your perspective then?
My perspective on life is that there is one creator. He sent many prophets to teach us that there's one God, there will be a day of resurrection, etc., etc., etc. And we believe that Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam is the final prophet of God. And that's pretty much our main belief.
Sure. So in terms of Islam, do you adhere to the hadiths, or do you, like the Christians, like pick and choose which hadith is appropriate and stuff like that? I know
Quran and Sunnah.
I know you have the Quran, and you have hadiths, which are like commentaries.
Yeah, you cannot be a Muslim without. Well, if you reject a hadith, it depends, right? Because there are different levels of gradings of hadith, right? The highest level is mutawatir, mass transmitted. It's so many people narrated something from the Prophet that it's inconceivable that they all made it up. Like, it's like me telling you that Russia exists. Like, to think that everyone telling you that Russia exists, they all lied. It's ridiculous to reject that, right? So rejecting something that is mutawatir, mass transmitted in Islam, this takes you out of Islam. So the Quran is all mutawatir, it's all mass transmitted. As for the hadith, some of the hadith are mass transmitted and some aren't. So if a person rejects a mutawatir hadith and they're told that it's mutawatir, but they still continue to reject it, then that can take them out of Islam. But if they reject a non-mutawatir hadith, then it depends, because non-mutawatir hadith have a range of authenticity. Some could be sahih, authentic, some could be da'if, weak, some could be completely fabricated.
Okay. So what led you not to believe in the Christian Jesus? Because you don't call him Jesus, you call him Isa or Isa.
Yeah,
so
Jesus is
what
just
happened?
Yeah, Jesus is just it's just a translation, right, in the English language. Isa is the Arabic. And so I mean, I thought this was going to be more of a stream about me arguing for Islam, but you want to ask me about Christianity.
You can argue for Islam. Go ahead, man, go ahead. So in terms of like medicinal drinks and stuff like that, would you say it's good to have medicine?
Yeah, first I'll answer your the Christian point, the Christian question you asked.
Sure.
Okay. The reason why I'm not a Christian is because, number one, logically, the Trinity doesn't make sense, right? It's basically saying if the Father is God, the Son is God, and the Holy Spirit. These three are distinct people, yet each one is God, yet there's only one God, and not three gods. Well, obviously that's a contradiction, right? That would be three gods, because it's like saying person A, person B, person C, each of them are God, but there's only one God, right? It's 1 equals 3. So logically it doesn't make sense. Number two, it's not really even found in the scripture. You read the Old Testament, the New Testament, you kind of have to do some type of gymnastics to see the Trinity in the Bible. And number three, some of the earliest Christians, like, they didn't have the Trinity, right? The Trinity was a doctrine that took centuries to develop.
Okay. So your stance is, you probably don't. If I was going to rebuttal you then as a Christian, I would just say that you lack faith, bro.
I'd say that's ridiculous. It's like, someone tells me I'm a married bachelor, a contradiction, and I'm telling them that's a contradiction, and they're like, no, that's just, you just lack faith. I'm like, no, what you're saying is just false.
All right, then, so...
Yeah, so just quickly to explain, the Christian position is that there is one God, but this one God exists as three persons, whatever that means. So you have person A, person B, person C. Person A, the Father, person B, the Son, and person 3, the Holy Spirit. And these are three separate people. They're different, they're distinct, they're not the same, they're not identical. Yet each one is 100% God. So person A is 100% God, person B is 100% God, person C is 100% God, but they're not each other. So obviously there would be three gods, but the Christians say no,
it's one God. So it's basically saying 1 equals 3. I've heard Christians say, no, but 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. That's not what the Trinity is. The Trinity is not that. What the Trinity really is saying is 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1, right? So they're basically saying 1 equals 3. A lot of Christians, when you press them on this, they'll just say, oh, but God is all powerful. He could do everything, right? So they're misunderstanding what it means to be all powerful, what it means for God to be omnipotent. So being omnipotent, which means to have the power to do anything, means anything that is logically possible, no matter how strange it is, as long as it's not impossible or contradictory. Now, the reason why contradictions are impossible is because, let's say, for argument's sake, that God could make contradictions come true. So God could create a four-sided triangle, or God could create a married bachelor. A married bachelor is someone who's married, but's also not married, right? So that's a contradiction. Now, if you said God can do contradictions, the problem with that view is then you can say God can do contradictions, but he also cannot do contradictions, because that in itself is a contradiction. So if you affirm God can do contradictions, then your whole worldview collapses. You can't have any rational discussion anymore, because something could be true and false completely at the same time. So all logic goes out the window, and no one can make any sense anymore. So contradictions are impossible. So definitely the Trinity, the Christian creed, is definitely false.
Where you guys do agree, though, you do agree that Mary, or Miriam, was an immaculate conception.
Yes, we do.
Brilliant. So
what this means is that we believe that Isa, we believe he was born without a father, right? And this is different. Miracles, by the way, are different from contradictions. Someone can say, well, you said God can't do contradictions, but then God could create a person without a father. Jesus, he had no father, he only had a mother, and basically it was a virgin birth, right? A virgin gave birth, the Virgin Mary gave birth to Isa, Jesus, right? Isa is just Jesus in Arabic. So someone can say, well, what's the difference? The difference is a contradiction is something that you simultaneously affirm and you also negate at the same time. Like a married bachelor, someone who's married but also not married. You can't have the two at the same time, right? Miracles are different. Miracles are just breaks in the normal way the universe operates. So to give you an example, imagine we have a video game, and the person who made the video game, he creates a character without any parents. Is this possible? Yeah, because the video game character has control over the reality that he designed, right? The laws, the rules, the operations. That now, similarly, Allah created this whole world, right? And he created its rules and regulations, but he could alter it as he sees fit. He could change the laws as he sees fit. But this is different from a contradiction. Now, let's go back to this video game analogy. Could a particular designer create a married bachelor within this video game? No, because that's a contradiction, right? So there's a big difference. Now, in the video game, if everybody has kids with parents, it becomes so customary, so normal that everyone thinks, well, to have a kid, you need to have a father and a mother, at least for human beings. But that's just the normal way the universe operates. It's an assumption to believe that the universe will continue to work that way indefinitely. The designer, he could create someone with one parent, right? He could create a human with one parent. He could create a human with no parents. So there's a difference between miracles and contradictions.
in terms of that, how does that work? Did Allah impregnate Mary? I know that the Quran said he spoke and the spirit went into Miriam. How does that work biologically, chemistry? How does that work?
Yeah, so we believe in one God who created the world, who created its rules, its laws, etc., right? The created order, the laws of physics, nature, whatever you want to call them. So a good analogy that I like is a video game, right? Obviously, the world is not a video game as far as I know, right? But a video game runs on, it's kind of similar, runs on rules, it runs on a certain type of order that the...
Yeah, so a lot of people will say, oh, but the world isn't a video game, so your analogy doesn't work. that's a straw man fallacy. We're not claiming the world is a video game. The point of the analogy is just to show that they're similar, right? The world has a bunch of rules, laws of nature, laws of physics, etc., 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 right? That's how the world is. And a video game also has laws and rules that the designer put in. So they're just similar in that aspect, right? The world doesn't actually have to be a video game. That's not the point of the analogy.
Designer put in a video game, right? Let's just say we're characters of a video game, simulated reality, and you have two people, they have intercourse and they make a kid, right? And that keeps happening so many times that everyone assumes that, hey, well, to have a kid, we have to have, a human male, a human female. They have to, do the act of intercourse, and then they have a kid. But the designer of a video game doesn't have to do that, right? He could just create a kid with the parent, without a parent, with one parent, right? He could create someone with no parents, right? Similarly, Allah, He created the whole world. He created its laws. So He can create someone with the parent, without parents.
I feel like we're filibustering though a little bit. How does it?
Yeah, so he says I'm filibustering. He asks me a question, I'm explaining it thoroughly, and he says you're filibustering, which just means you're talking a lot, but it's relative to the question he asked.
Explain just on a simplistic level?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was very simple in my opinion, the analogy, but okay.
What's filibustering?
Sorry about that, because it's
You
basically
sounded like
God
a Christian for.
Yeah, I shouldn't have even apologized. There's nothing to apologize for. Sound like a Christian. He said I sound like a Christian. I don't know what he's talking about, but okay.
I ain't gonna lie, you sounded like a Christian. You weren't landing the plane, you were just in turbulence. Well, come on, let's go.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was giving a logical response, but basically He created the world and its laws, and He can alter them as He sees fit.
Sure. So why did He need a virgin?
He didn't need to.
So why did He use one?
Why not? If it's not impossible, why not? That's like saying, well, why did He create people with parents? He doesn't need to. He could do, as long as it's not logically contradictory. Why not?
Sure. So why a virgin though?
But why not? What's wrong with the virgin? It's just to show a miracle.
Right.
Right?
So you like the Christian?
So he's basically saying, well, why did God create Jesus with just a mother, right? The point is a miracle. That's like asking, like, oh, well, Jesus walked on water. Why did He do that? Why didn't God give Him the power to summon lightning from His fingertips? Or why didn't God give Him the power to, shoot fire out of His hands? Like, does it matter? They're all miracles. That's the whole point. It's completely, it's a ridiculous question.
Believe in the same miracle of Mary being impregnated by God's word or God.
Yeah, God created Jesus in the womb of Mary, and this is possible. Yeah, there's nothing.
So would you say
it.
semen was transmitted?
No.
Why
as
is
far
that
as
not
I'm
possible?
aware.
If everything's possible, why is that not possible? Why does everyone like this miracle story till we start talking about semen and eggs and fertilization?
No, it's possible that God could create semen, right? Put it in Mary. That's fine, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so here I'm not saying that that's what God did. That's not what I'm. So someone says, a Muslim can be like, oh, what are you saying? This is blasphemous. No, I'm not saying God actually did that. My point is God could do that, right? Like God could have just created semen, right, and just put it into a virgin, and then she would give birth without any father actually emitting that semen. That's just. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying it's possible.
Semen that he put in her.
No.
Hypothetically.
That's just God creating semen as a substance. It wouldn't be His, right, semen. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, this is another point. So I don't know what his obsession is with semen, the semen boy. But so when we like that possibility of God creating semen, putting it in someone, and that woman giving birth or whatever, right? It wouldn't be like God Himself, astaghfirullah, na'udhu billah, that like God Himself, that He has a body and then He ejaculates and He emits semen. No, we don't believe anything like that. We're just saying that God, as a creator, as a designer of the world, He could create semen or any substance within the world, put it in a woman, and and that woman has birth without an actual father, right? God could have done that. At the same time, did God need to create any semen or any substance? No, God could just, like a video game, right? God could create someone without any substance whatsoever. So it's a ridiculous question, right?
So it's just miracle semen. It's made by God, but it's not God's.
Yeah, God could create something without semen, with semen, doesn't matter. Like, think about the video game, right? A designer of a video game can create someone with parents, with semen, without semen, without that designer contributing anything besides creative power, right? It's not like the designer himself is like doing something.
It sounds like Bronze Age mythologies to me, in all fairness. Like, it's 2025, we're believing that a deity either overshadows a woman, comes on a woman, and it also has to be a virgin.
Very
I
disrespectful.
don't understand why it's a virgin.
Yeah, again, it doesn't have to be a virgin, right? And he's just speaking very disrespectfully. Whatever.
Why, if this God can do everything and nothing's impossible to him, why certain people, I respect that you didn't say this, but other people...
Yeah, he says nothing's impossible to him, except contradictions, as I explained earlier. Contradictions are impossible for God. That doesn't make him weak. It just, like, it's like telling, imagine, like, there's an artist, the greatest artist in the world, and he could draw anything, right? And now some idiot comes, and he says, oh, you claim to be an artist who can draw anything? Well, I want you to draw a polygon with a curve, right? Polygons, by definition, they don't have curves, right? So it's either a polygon or it's some shape or object that has a curve. You can't have them both ways. So if the artist says, well, polygons, you can't have a polygon without a curve, I can't draw that because that's impossible, right? That's logically contradictory. And then the idiot is like, oh, see? Well, you can't draw anything. You're weak. It's stupid, right? So similarly, when we say that it's impossible for God to do contradictions, this doesn't make him weak or anything like that whatsoever. Just go back to the video game analogy. It's a really, again, it's never like, we're not saying the world is a video game, but it's a decent analogy, right? Can God create someone in a video game without parents? Yes. Can God make someone fly in a video game? Yes. Can God put someone in a video game in a fire and that video game character doesn't get any burn? Yeah. In our world is no different. It's just a world with laws and rules, and God could change the laws and rules, right? But even then, contradictions would not be possible, right? A designer of a video game can't create a married bachelor because that's an inherent contradiction. So again, contradictions and miracles are very different.
It wasn't semen. It wasn't eggs involved. It just happened. I'm like, how did it happen? We just believe by faith. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, again, it's not believing by faith, right? God created the world and its laws and rules. He could change them. If you could do this in a video game, why can't God, who is all-powerful, do that with this world? Is this so hard to understand for this guy? But he's just obsessed with semen. I don't know. I don't know why he's obsessed with semen, but...
Okay, that makes no sense. So, going back to what you're saying...
But whatever.
Why was it a virgin? Why not, is the rebuttal. Or why is it a virgin?
It's arbitrary. Why not?
He doesn't get this point either.
Is it to fulfill a particular prophecy, or is there a way that this God does his thing? Does it have to be through virgins?
No, like, we believe in Adam. Adam wasn't created with parents, right? So, like, to us, it doesn't have to be a virgin, no virgins. Like, again, it's miracles, right? God created the world. He creates its laws. He can run the created order without those laws. He can change the laws, etc.
So that's it. That's the answer. Yeah, he does what he wants. In this particular story, he chose to have a woman who was a virgin.
Yeah.
And what age does the Quran say that Mary was?
The Quran actually doesn't give an age for it.
Or the scholars, or the muftis, or the imams, what age do they say that she is or was?
Yeah, they don't really give an age because there's nothing authentic from the Quran or the Sunnah about it. Like, so sometimes what can happen is, so, like, we believe in the older books, the Gospel, the Torah, but we believe they were corrupted. So Prophet Muhammad, what he told us to do was, whatever I tell you, and it's what their books, meaning the Jews, the Christians, etc., and it agrees with us, then it's fine, you can believe it. Whatever from their scripture disagrees with us, then no, we can't accept it. And whatever neither is compatible with our beliefs, it doesn't agree with us, nor does it disagree with us, meaning it's just neutral.
Sure.
Yeah, it's neutral, yeah. Then we the Prophet Muhammad said, just be agnostic about it. Leave it to God, whether it's true or not. Just take it as it is, but neither affirm it nor deny it.
Brilliant. Would you say that Islamic story of the Quran is older or younger than the Bible story?
The Quran came later, but the stories are, some of them are like the same stories.
Sure. Would you say that the New Testament came before or after the Greek stories?
Can you repeat the question?
Would you say the New Testament came before or after the Greek stories, the Greek pantheons?
Oh, the Greek, like, you mean like Greco-Roman gods and all those stories?
Not Roman, 'cause that's Greco-Roman. That's the syncretic Greece and Romans merger. I'm talking about Greek specifically.
Like Greek stories, like that came
Yeah,
way
you know
before.
what a pantheon?
Yeah, that
yeah,
came
you know
that
what
came
a
before.
pantheon
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
I
yeah.
assume. What's a pantheon?
Like a pantheon of deities.
Yeah. So would you say that the Greek pantheon predates the New Testament era?
Yep.
Because in the New Testament, you hear, I know you probably don't, where you're supposed to believe in the Agil, the gospel, but you say that it's been
Corrupted.
altered. Yeah. So in the
This is another point. So like, we as Muslims, we believe Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the final prophet, and his book, the revelation that God gave him, the Quran, that's the final holy book. We believe in older prophets as well. Even the Quran says, we've told you about many prophets, and many prophets we haven't told you their stories. So we don't know every single prophet. So the ones the Quran mentions, we believe about. But are there other prophets? Yeah, definitely. But we don't know all of them. So we just believe in them even if we don't know their names, we leave their identities to God. But we believe in the older books like the Torah. In Arabic is the Torah, and we believe in the Gospel. In Arabic we call it the Injil. But they've been corrupted. So like Christians and Jews today, their scriptures today, we only believe in them in a general sense that, yeah, there could be some truth in them. We confirm them generally, but we don't confirm them absolutely that the scriptures that the Jews and Christians have today are 100% from God. No, because we believe their scriptures were corrupted. So this goes back to what I said earlier in his on his live stream, that if something from their book agrees with us, then we believe in it. If it disagrees with us, then we disbelieve in it. But if it's something in their book that it neither agrees with us nor does it contradict what our scripture, the Quran, says, then we just remain neutral about it. Prophet Muhammad said, then you neither believe in it nor deny it. You leave it to God.
Testament have words like Hades.
By the way, this goes back to basically what the Christians say now, the Islamic dilemma. Everything I just said right now was an explanation of how to refute the Islamic dilemma.
That's a Grecian vocabulary for their hell and their belief system.
Yeah, like we believe that a lot of corruption from the Roman Empire, or even if you don't want to say Rome particularly, like Greek culture, like, I mean, that's probably where the Trinity came from, right?
Yeah,
all
sure.
this paganism mixed in.
So I agree with you that the Islam is an after addition or a later addition to the Bible. You call it the Last Testament.
Yeah, we
right?
wouldn't say Islam. We would say the Quran, because we say Islam was
the
there.
Quran.
Yeah,
the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
So the Quran is a final testament, it's a final witness. Then you have the New Testament, then you have the Old Testament, so on and so forth, right? So in terms of going back to the virgin topic about Virgin Mary, and you said you didn't really have a convincing answer of why this deity happens to choose a virgin. Now in the Bible,
no, but it's
there's
not
a reason why
problematic.
yeah, but the Bible that predates the Quran, it tells you kind of an indirect way why she was chosen.
Sure, that's fine.
All right, so it says it's to fulfill allegedly a prophecy in Isaiah, allegedly, but that's often debated.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. So the virgin element is due to purity because she's going to be the vessel of God's son or God or whomsoever. That's kind of the narrative that gets pushed when you go back to traditional Christianity. All right. So I'm asking Islam now, why are they going with the same story that they could have changed? Why are they keeping that story within their story?
If the story is true, then it's true, right? God just narrates the story. Now, why did it have to be a virgin?
Yeah.
Right? If Allah didn't disclose that in the Quran, and a Jew tells us, or a Christian tells us, hey, that it's a fulfillment of a prophecy, we say, okay, sure, that's possible, right? But we just go with what the Quran says because we prove the reliability, the truthfulness of the Quran independently of those older books. We could look into those older books and actually see prophecies of Muhammad, but then Jews and Christians say, oh, why are you Muslims using corrupt, if you guys believe our scriptures, the Torah, the Gospel, whatever, if you believe these are corrupted, why are you looking into these texts for prophecies for Muhammad? We say we don't actually need the Bible. The Quran, the Sunnah, etc. can be proven on its own merits. We just show them prophecies of Muhammad in the Bible, in the Old Testament or the New Testament, as supplementary evidence, right? We don't need them, but it's supplementary.
So your book is an appendage of what came before it, essentially. So you have all these books before, and then your book is the appendage. It's re-edited.
1 second. Sorry, guys.
It's the
It's-
fine, yeah.
It's the fight.
It's the
of the
final
edicts.
to bring the truth of
Yeah.
like, well, ever was corrupted in the past, God brought
Now
the
it's
truth of
been
exactly.
perfected. But it's funny because Mormons make the same claim. Everyone that brings a new religion has an encounter with the angel. The angel tells them what to write. Like Paul, he has an encounter with the angel. Then you have the Pauline letters.
Sure, but I
Joseph
could show
Smith
you
has an
false. I
encounter
could
with-
show you false prophecies of
one more
Joseph.
thing. One more thing. On that
Yeah.
trailer 4, every time a religion starts, Moses, Mount Sinai has an encounter by himself, no witnesses, with a deity. He gets the 10 Commandments, allegedly. Then you go to the story of Mary. There's an angel involved. Give birth to Jesus. There's the story, or Isa. Then you go to Paul. He has an encounter with an angel. Then there's the advent of his story. Then you go to Muhammad, he's in a cave, there's an angel, that's the advent of his story. Then you go to Mormonism, there's an angel, he tells them about golden tablets, that's the advent of his story. So it's like every story or every edit has to have some angel presence to solidify the revelation, and then it becomes a new religion.
Yeah. So should I respond?
Bring it.
Yeah, so plenty of religions have various stories about angels. Some religions don't even believe in angels, right? So that's one point. The second point is each religion should be judged on its own merits. You say, well, just because they have some similar, accounts doesn't necessarily mean they're all fabricated, right? At the same time, doesn't mean they're all true because they contradict each other, so they can't all be true. So what we would say is, if a Mormon claimed that, oh, but Joseph Smith, an angel came to him, this and that, we'd be like, okay, prove your claim. Show us his prophecies, show us XYZ, etc. Joseph Smith made clearly false prophecies, right? Something like compared to like Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying is, oh, well, all these religions, they talk about angels revealing something to a prophet or some person, whatever. Well, number one, not every religion believes in angels, but whatever. Number two, anyone can say that, yeah, sure. But the difference between Islam and those other religions, like Mormonism, this guy, Joseph Smith, who claimed to be a prophet and an angel appeared to him, etc. Like, okay, yeah, that's their claim. We say, prove your claim. And Joseph Smith made false prophecies. Unlike Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, there is no failed prophecies that you could demonstrate. And if you say there are, bring it. We'll debate it, right? So Prophet Muhammad he did many miracles and he performed extremely specific prophecies that came true and can be validated today, can be verified today. So this just to say that, oh, well, all these religions are kind of all the same, in the sense that there's an angel and stuff. No, they're completely different in many other aspects.
We actually show that he's actually prophesied in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, and miracles and prophecies that we could see to this day that are fulfilled. Like Isaiah 42 is like a common one. I'm not sure if you heard about it. Like even many Jews, well, many people even to this day are converting because of it. But like even Jews in the time of Prophet Muhammad were converting to Islam because of this passage in their scripture.
Which passage in their scripture?
Isaiah 42 is one of them. There's many,
Okay.
but that's like that was a big one. The Jews many of the Jews in the time of the Prophet, they were basically reading that passage, and that's why they were in Medina, because I'm not sure if you know the history, in Medina. So the Prophet Muhammad was born in Mecca, right? His people were pagans, they were idol worshippers, but
Yeah, I know the story.
yeah, and then he migrated to Medina. So at 40 he became a prophet. About 13 years later, he
And that's
migrated
the
to
wait,
Medina.
let me cut you as well. Let me cut
Yeah.
you there as well. 40 is always interesting as well when it comes to prophets as well. It's just an interest. There's a certain thematic theme that is permeating through a lot of these religious texts. A lot of numbers, a lot of angelic encounters. They often all echo chamber the same sort of thing, and then they say, "But forget what came before us. This is the real thing."
Yeah, but there could be truth in those
Have you
things.
noticed
There
that
could be
pattern?
falsehood. Of course, there could be, like, we believe in many prophets, so it's possible their scriptures could have some truth. It's possible. But it doesn't have to be 40. Like, we believe Jesus was a prophet before 40.
Yeah, he was
Yeah. So,
alleged in the stories. Yeah.
so anyway, going back. Yeah.
Going back to the main point of why I actually brought up all that stuff about the timelines and in terms of did Greek mythology predate Christian mythology? You said yes. Does Christian story predate the Quranic story? You said yes. But then you said obviously the Quran is the better version because all those versions were corrupted, right or wrong?
Yeah, so some of those scriptures, like the Jewish scriptures or the Christian scriptures, we believe they were corrupted. We believe they were originally from God. As for like the Greek stories, the Quran doesn't mention it. So they could have been from some prophets and then they were corrupted, or they could have been completely made up. We have no idea. So I just stay ambiguous about it. I leave it to God, but it's not relevant.
All right, it is a bit relevant. We're gonna get there. We're just taking the plane into the sky, landing the plane. So the main point of this conversation, especially with the virginity of Mary, why did she have to be a virgin? Why did God, who you had stated could do anything, and you even conceded that it might have been semen that was exchanged, but then you kind of divorced that it was God's semen.
Yeah, so I didn't concede anything. All I said was it's possible, meaning it's within God's power to create semen, put it in a woman, and that woman gives birth without there being any literal father. And also then he says, oh, and you say it, but it's not really God's literal semen. Just like a video game designer can create a world, create substance in that world, that doesn't mean that thing is actually a part of that creator, right? Like, forget video games, even in this life. Like, if I make a table, does that mean like that the wood and all these things I use to make the table, does that mean that's physically a part of me? No, it's very stupid. So I didn't concede anything, but whatever.
Semen that he made, like an avatar in a video game. All right. Even so, if you make it, it's yours, and if you pull it into somebody, it came from you. There's no separating the semen from the deity.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say if I make a table, then that table is mine
example.
in the sense that it's like a body part of mine and it came out. No, of course not.
But that's a totally different explanation.
You're creating the
table.
No,
it's not. It's not entirely different. It's completely the same thing, right? If I make a table, does that mean that table physically came out of my body? No, it's very stupid, right? If I create a video game world and I make some substance, like semen, he's so obsessed with semen. Does that mean now I ejaculated the semen into the video game? No, it's very stupid.
Creating the table.
This is a better explanation.
Sound and logical. You're not being very sound and logical. Just think about it, right? If I make a house, that doesn't mean the bricks came out of my body, right? Just because you create something, that doesn't mean it's literally, physically a part of you. It's very simple,
but we're talking about, doesn't the Bible say that we're made in God's image? Or if you believe in the Torah, it says you're made in God's image, right?
Yeah, we actually have something similar in the Hadith, but actually it doesn't say God's image. It says Adam's image.
All right, same thing. So for this,
how is it the same thing? That's incredibly stupid, right? He just said, "Oh, well, same thing." No, it's not. There's a hadith, by the way, that says that. Now, there actually needs to be a little bit of explanation before Muslims get confused on this, or any person watching in. There's a hadith that says that God created Adam in his image. God created Adam in his image. What does that mean? Most of the scholars say that when God created Adam in his image, his doesn't refer to God, it refers to Adam. Because what we believe is that Adam, the progenitor, the ancestor of all human beings, the first human being. We don't believe he had a mother or a father. God just created him miraculously, and then boom, he was already an adult from his creation. So the meaning is his image, like the way he looks as an adult, God created him like that from the get-go. So that's the meaning of the hadith, which says that Allah created Adam in his image. His refers to Adam, not God.
To put his spirit, because that's what it says in the Quran about the spirit went into Mary.
Yeah.
All right.
His, by the
It
way,
is a
his
part-
spirit doesn't mean it's actually a physical. So maybe, I'm not sure if you know Arabic.
I love all the explanations, man. It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, I know. I have to educate this guy. That's why I'm explaining to him in the first place.
Keep going.
I know, I read a lot. So when we say Ruhullah, the spirit of Allah, it doesn't mean like Allah has a part of him that's called spirit. He took it out, he put it into Mary. No, it means in terms of possession. So for example, like the Kaaba.
So we possessed her for a little bit.
So it's like a ownership. No, possession in terms of ownership, not possession as in like God entering. So like when we say the house of Allah, it just means that God owns this, right? The spirit of Allah, this is a spirit that God owns. Doesn't mean it's some physical part of God that he took out, removed it, and put in something else.
Okay, so
Right.
so you're anchoring.
So like
it
wait,
in
there's a
this
comment. There's a
possession.
comment that says, if God made your dad, did he not make you by extension? Yeah, God made us, but that doesn't mean now that like God, like a physical part of him came out and emitted. That's just like, look, you have a video
Yeah,
game,
but this is
right?
not that. This is
The
not
video
that
game
example.
analogy
This is
always
not that
works.
example.
No, I
This
just
is
wanted
the
to
Quran
respond to
saying-
the YouTube comment.
It's a decent analogy.
Yeah, sure, but I want to just clarify this point because you're going here, there, and everywhere, and
I'm not.
getting into turbulence. The point
I'm sticking
is
on the
that
same
Allah
point,
said his spirit's
consistent.
gonna go into Mary. We're asking you to explain that. You're saying it's possession.
Yeah,
that's
possession in
Arabic
terms of
language.
ownership. Yeah.
That's just what it means.
In order for a baby to become a baby, there has to be a chemical process.
You see, this is the
Nah,
point.
that's
He
fallacy.
still doesn't understand. It's like we've been talking for so long. Oh, there has to be a chemical reaction. This is like, imagine you're in a video game and you see other characters, and well, every time a father and a mother, they have intercourse, they have a kid. You see that so many times that you're like, okay, to have a child, there has to be intercourse for, at least for human beings, between a father and a mother. You see that so many times, you think that has to be that way. I'm showing you it doesn't have to be that way, right? A video game designer can create characters without parents. He can create a character with one parent. He can create a character with two parents. He could even make a system where he creates characters with like 5, 10 parents. Kind of weird, but he could do that, right? This guy doesn't get it.
I'm talking about the chemical.
But this is called the fallacy of induction, right? Like, oh, well, I've seen the world operate in a certain way, so it always has to operate like that. Well, that's an assumption, right? That's like saying, oh, if I've only seen black sheep, well, I guess maybe only black sheep exist, right? You're making a conclusion, a general conclusion, based on your specific observations. This is the problem with science, right? Science it's good, it's amazing, but it has its limits, right? Because it's based on a limited set of observations.
Process. This is when people start to try to divorce that God had to put semen into Mary or Miriam.
Yeah, God could have done it, but he didn't have to do it.
It's not could have. He would have had to have done that for a baby to exist.
This guy doesn't
Okay,
understand.
So if I create a video game and people have children with parents, that means the video game person can't create children without parents? No, man. You could
I
change
think
the laws.
it's a weak analogy. It's a weak.
It's a perfect analogy,
If God
yeah.
created the world and
it's
its
not.
laws, can't he alter them? I think that's very
Sure.
incredibly
All right,
logical.
All right.
Yeah, you
It's
can,
Sure.
logical,
In
yeah.
the
Makes sense.
video game, it's possible.
yeah.
But there's laws that determine our reality and nature.
I'm not saying the world is a video
In a
game. I'm
video
just
game,
saying
you can-
Yeah,
the
it's a
world
straw man.
has-
Yeah,
Video
so a straw man fallacy. Like, again, I'm not saying the world is a video game. I'm just saying that the world and a video game are similar in the sense that they both have laws and rules. And then, well, the designer of a video game can change the laws and rules of a video game. And then this world also has laws and rules. Why does it even have laws and rules? Can atheists ever explain this? Why does it even have laws and rules? That like when the universe just came into existence, it's like, hey guys, these atoms, these molecules are like, guys, we have to follow a certain, set of chemical rules and reactions and follow a particular order. Why? Why do they have to do that? Right? Laws and rules heavily suggest that there is a lawgiver. Yeah?
has
You put
laws.
different codes in. I get it, but in the
The
world,
world has
in
laws
the
of
real
physics,
life,
laws of
in real
nature.
life, that's not the same thing.
No, but
So
it's an
let's go back to this
assumption.
point.
He's
No,
assuming
you're assuming
it's
that
not.
the laws of
That
nature
there's,
will
he's
continue
assuming
to
there's
stay
no
the same.
lawgiver.
That's an assumption.
Laws of nature have laws embedded into them.
Yeah, and I'm saying that God created those laws and He can change them.
Video games have code embedded into them.
Yeah, that's laws that determine the nature of reality, right? The inventor of those laws can change them, but you're assuming he doesn't exist. That's the real difference between us.
No, the thing is, your whole story about Isa, which is one of your prophets, yeah, the Immaculate Conception is not unique to Islam. It's not unique to Christianity. I was asking about the Greek and their pantheons, and it's not even unique to the Greeks. It goes before the Greeks. But when you go to any mythology prior to Christianity and prior to Islam, you always find a deity obsessed or possessed with a virgin that he needs to reproduce with. All right, so you have Zeus and Dani, and in that story, actually, let's go to the Bible. Let's go to Quran.
Yeah. So again, it's not God being obsessed with the virgin. In Islam, I think there are only like I don't know the exact number, maybe 3 or 4 women who've had virgin birth. They were virgins and then they gave birth miraculously. Compared to how many billions of women have existed and they gave birth normally. So it's not obsession at all, right? It's a very few cases throughout history.
So in the Bible, it says
but Zeus is a part of the universe, right? He's a part of the created order.
According to
right?
Yeah, so what he's saying is like, oh, Zeus, this like so-called Greek god, and like he has intercourse. I'm not sure about the Greek, their theology, that much Greek mythology and stuff, but like we don't believe that God is part of the universe and stuff. So like Zeus has, he takes on a physical body and he does all these physical acts. We don't believe God is like that at all. So it's not God actually having intercourse.
But according to the Greeks, he was. So Mary is
no. They
explicitly
believed
called
Zeus was a part of. They believed he had a body and everything. They believed he was part of the created reality. We don't believe that.
Doesn't the Quran say or the Hadith say that Allah has 2 right hands?
So Yadain again. Then I have to
How does Allah have 2 right hands?
Yeah, so actually
No,
Allah
because you're
has
talking about Allah not having a body, but Allah even has a foot in the Quran. And he puts his foot in hellfire to test how hot it is. So it's funny how we changed that he's a nebulous character, but then in the book itself it says it's tangible. It has body parts. So body parts must be on a body.
Sure.
So you can't make him invisible when you want him to, and then make him not when you want him to. So let me go back to the point. Mary is called a virgin. She has no sex, no one has touched me. That's what she says. And then in the Bible, it says the Holy Spirit came upon her and the power of God overshadowed her, right? In the Quran, it says, how can I have a son when no man has ever touched me, nor am I unchaste? All right? So she's saying no man's done the deed to me. I'm a virgin, I'm a virgin, I'm a virgin. All right? Agree or disagree?
Well, can I answer the body parts first? Because you brought that point up.
Agree or disagree with that?
You brought up a separate point, and then you're
We will
changing
go back to that.
point.
I won't run from that. We'll go back to that.
Yeah, so we actually never go back to that point about the so-called body parts of Allah. So because we don't actually explain it in the live stream, I'll explain it here. The Quran and the Sunnah, they supposedly, seemingly, they utilize language that seems to suggest that Allah has a physical body and stuff like that. For example, the Quran says that Allah has yadain. Yadain literally means 2 hands. Literally, that's what it means. So how do we Muslims explain this? So we say God is incorporeal, right? He doesn't have a body. Laysa kamithlihi shay. He's not like anything. So when these references are used in respect to God, in respect to Allah in the Quran or in the Sunnah, what we say is that the meanings of these words, right, are not the same when they're used in respect to creation, like animals, human beings, or whatnot. Now, a decent analogy, it's not, is like, for example, the hand of a clock and a hand of a human. Hand of a human means a physical hand, right, a limb, while hand of a clock is the indicator of time. So it's the same, that pointer thing. So it's the same word but different meanings. Even this analogy is not perfect because the hand of a human is still physical and the hand of a clock is still physical, right? But What about if I said, hey, can I give you a hand? What does that mean? That means, can I help you? Same word, completely different meaning, right? Now here it doesn't refer to organs or physical body part. It just means help. When someone says, oh, this is out of my hands, what does that mean? It just means it's not in your power. So hands in this respect means power, right? So as Muslims, when we come across these references that supposedly, seemingly suggest that, sorry about that, guys, supposedly seem to suggest that Allah has body parts, what we say is that the meaning is not the same as what applies to the rest of creation. It's completely different.
Yeah, Mary was wondering how can she have a child?
When she's a virgin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like
cool.
a lot of people would, and they should, because that's how God usually made the system of the world. Yeah.
Sure. So when you go to the Greek pantheon, and not just limited to the Greeks, you can go to the Hindu pantheon and all different kinds of religious structures. Even if you go back to ancient Islam, all right, which was about worshipping the triple moon. Aside from that, yeah, there's many stories.
He says ancient Islam about worshipping the moon or the triple moon. Muslims have never worshipped the moon. What's he talking about? Just because we use a crescent and a star for our symbols sometimes, that doesn't mean we worship a moon, right? The reason why, as Muslims, we use a lot of like stars and the moon or whatever, and like the way we design stuff, we use a lot of geometry, like tiles to design our like mosques and stuff, is because we don't like to make images of like humans and animals and other pictures and idols like that, because we believe like this is how idol worship started, right? I mean, people still worship the moon and stuff, but like compared to like worshiping like human beings and other people and stuff, this is why we try to avoid that. So we've never worshipped the moon, even though we use it as a symbol sometimes, right? Like the Quran itself says, don't worship the moon, don't prostrate to the moon. So we've never worshipped the moon, so he has no idea what he's saying.
Chief deity selecting a virgin woman to procreate with, to have a son of God, or a child of God, or a daughter of God. So what makes the Bible story or the Quran story any different from those stories that predate these stories?
Yeah, so the first point is, because we believe in many prophets, right? That came even way before Jesus, came way before even Moses. It's possible that they could have had stories that were true and they were later corrupted. It's possible they were completely made up. So as for, the Greek stories about all these miracles, I'm saying, well, yeah, it's possible some of those things could have happened, as long as it's not contradictory, right? Like saying like a transcendent necessary being is not corporeal. Like this guy on YouTube, is God not following his laws? Like, what a stupid comment. God created the laws, so he can alter them, right?
Why does that trigger you though? Why does that comment trigger you? What's so triggering about that?
It triggers me when people can't understand good arguments from bad ones, right? They act like they're sound and logical, but they're not very sound and logical. You know what I mean?
It's not even about arguments, to be fair. It's about facts over fiction.
Yeah, I know. But, like, is God not following his laws? Laws are for creation, they're not for God. Like, what a stupid comment.
So God's not subject to... So in your rationality, God's not subject to no laws, no?
Not subject to any laws, but there are logical laws, but they're abstract, right? Like, it's impossible for God to create, like, a square circle or something.
This is going back to difference between contradictions and miracles.
So in your grand scheme, or your imagination...
God could do anything besides logical contradictions.
God is not required to follow any law because he's above the law.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and as for like moral laws, like it's illegal for God to do this, but it's illegal for God to do that. Obviously, God is not subject to anyone's judgment, or no one can enforce their judgment upon God anyway. Like the Quran says that we will be questioned on Judgment Day. He won't be questioned, right? So he's above laws in that sense, yeah. But in terms of like laws, like the laws of nature, laws of physics, whatever, yeah, God created those laws, so obviously he's beyond them, right? He has power over them. He's the one who created them. Obviously, that doesn't mean now he could create contradictory things, because there's a difference between miracles and contradictions, as we explained earlier.
In terms of Mary, was she in the Quran engaged?
The Quran doesn't mention it.
It doesn't mention that she was engaged or anything like that.
It doesn't mention it, so... I mean, I know the Bible talks about Joseph, right? But since the Quran doesn't mention it, we just we just leave it to God. We remain
It's
ambiguous.
funny that
upon
the Quran doesn't even mention Joseph at all.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a real thing, could have not been. So, but to us, it's not relevant. To us, it just matters. Look, Prophet Muhammad, did he do miracles and prophecies? Did he show people that God exists? That's all we're
All
concerned
right, so
about.
let's go to Prophet Muhammad.
Sure.
Sure, he did miracles. Are you of the opinion that Prophet Muhammad split the moon? Do you believe that?
Absolutely.
Okay, bring me the proof on this one. I gotta hear it. I gotta hear how Muhammad split the moon.
Yeah. So the first point is, do you agree? Just first point that even if there wasn't evidence, I'm saying there is, but even if there wasn't evidence, would you believe that the absence of evidence is evidence of absence?
I feel like that's filibustering, but continue.
No, but I'm gonna show you the evidence.
Evidence is absent. Christian apologists use that all.
No,
the
I'm
time.
not saying
It's
there's
what-
no
it's what
evidence.
It's a big thing in theological circles. Absence of evidence isn't absence.
I
hear
know,
that all the
but
time, bro.
I'm saying the point is even if there wasn't evidence, right? It doesn't.
It doesn't
make it false.
disprove or prove.
Yeah, okay.
I
But
get
now
it, I get it.
Yeah, but now I'm gonna actually show you the evidence, right?
Yeah, so just to explain what I just said, so the Quran says that, the moon was split, and that was a sign of people. Like in the hadith, it mentions also that people challenged Prophet Muhammad to split the moon, and the moon split, and they all saw it. And this isn't just narrated by one narrator. This is narrated by many, many narrators, right? And that's why a large amount of people actually accepted Islam. But anyway, let's say there was no actual evidence for this, right? Does it mean it's false? No. God could split the moon, right? And he could return it back. So people say, oh, but where's the scientific evidence? Well, if God made the moon come back to normal without any cracks or whatever, then you're not going to find the scientific evidence. Or he could have made the moon come back to normal, right? But the scientific evidence just hasn't been discovered yet, right? So it's both ways. But even if there was no scientific evidence whatsoever, that doesn't disprove it happened. But now the thing is, someone will ask Muslims, well, then how do you know it happened? Why do you just follow the Quran because it says it happened? Well, no. Number one, we trust the Quran because Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he did miracles and prophecies. Not just the moon splitting, that was something in the past. We didn't see that. He did stuff that we can see today. Miracles and prophecies, which we can see that are coming true today. And that's what makes us have faith in the Quran. So even if we didn't see the moon split, that doesn't mean now we have no good reasons for believing the moon split. We believe in the moon split because we believe in Prophet Muhammad. And one of the reasons we believe in Prophet Muhammad is because of the miracles and prophecies that we can see coming true today. But anyway, now, I'm going to give this atheist historical evidence of other people who saw the moon split. Not just Muslims, not just Arabs. Indians, their own accounts explain this.
All right,
So,
brilliant.
yeah. So the first point is.
So would you say that, before you get into that, would you say that Muhammad was the first person to go to the moon before allegedly
No, he didn't go to the
Neil
moon.
Armstrong? All right, cool. How did he split the moon then?
So we say Prophet Muhammad split the moon, right? But it's really God doing it through Muhammad.
Okay.
Yeah. So can I give you an evidence?
Yeah, go for it, man. Go for it. I'm all eager. I want to hear how he split the moon.
All right. So in India, there was an Indian king who reportedly witnessed the event. He later embraced Islam. So can I read the source?
Read the source.
Yeah. So this is the source. There is a very old tradition in Malabar, southwest coast of India, that I can't even read it, bro. Sorry, Indian.
I'm butchering the Indian name.
Chakrawati, no, not to be, sorry, good. Chakrawati Firmas.
Hey.
Yeah, one of their kings had observed the splitting of the moon that celebrated the miracle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam at Mecca, and learning on inquiry that there was a prediction of the coming of a messenger of God from Arabia, he appointed his son as regent and set out to meet him. He embraced Islam at the hand of the Prophet, and when he was returning home at the direction of the Prophet, he died at the port of Zafar, where the tomb of the Indian king was originally visited for long centuries. And also, this is also shared in Hindu texts as well. So Professor Nathan Katz, he mentions that there's a Malayalam Hindu text, right, called the Kiralpati. Sorry if I'm butchering
Hindu
the
text,
names,
not
right?
Muslim
Anyway,
text.
This is not Muslim sources. These are Hindu sources, right, from India.
Because people say we
And it
Muslims, we
reports
invented
that the
everything.
last
But
chairman, Perumal King, he actually did go to Mecca and he embraced Islam. So, and also local Hindus of the Cheraman region of India were basically also sharing that, you know, they actually affirmed the story that, you know, their king did go to the prophet because of the splitting of the moon.
That's wild. That's actually wild. Cool. So there's ancient Chinese, there's Indian, there's Greek, there's a lot of astronomers, Babylonians. They were prolific and obsessive in recording lunar and solar phenomena. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree.
Especially the Babylonians. Damn, the Babylonians were prolific. So aside from this random Indian guy,
but not just the Indian guy, his people, right? Even Hindus,
Sure.
like to this day,
Again-
they'll actually affirm
again-
this tradition. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a tradition.
yeah.
There
The
is
Hindus,
no-
right? Not Muslims. Hindus affirm this too. But yeah, go
It's
ahead.
in their
Sure,
books.
sure.
Because
There's
people
a-
say
there's a lot of
Muslims have mentioned this,
Christians who
but they
affirm
actually, in their
stories
text,
in
they
the
mention
Torah,
it too,
even
the
though
Hindus.
Torah is a lot of mythology.
Yeah,
So
those
it
stories might
doesn't
be
really-
true, but the difference is like
It
again.
might, keyword is might.
Yeah,
keyword
they
is
could be
might.
true,
So,
but
so when we go back, we can see the ancient Chinese, Indians, and different civilizations. They observed lunar and solar phenomena to the T, and there's no independent historical record of any moon visibly splitting in two and then fusing back together.
Yeah, so we believe that the
So
split.
that takes a lot of faith, just like the Christians do, and then believing that Jesus fed 1,000 people with fish and bread.
Yeah,
That takes a lot of faith.
yeah. So my first point is that number one, it wasn't just Muslims; it was Hindus who actually affirmed this account, right?
Yeah, another
That's
civilization.
number one. Number two, the splitting of the moon was incredibly momentary. It was very small. It's possible that no one else saw it besides the Muslims and the Hindus. That's number two. Number three, these miracles that happened in the past, like you could say, oh, but Christians would say that this miracle happened, and Jews could say that miracle happened. We would say, yeah, it's possible. But what we could see is we could see prophecies of Muhammad to this day. We could see miracles of Muhammad to this day. Like you could actually read the Bible and clearly see Prophet Muhammad in the Bible to this day. Like you could read passages like Deuteronomy. You could read Isaiah prophesizing Prophet Muhammad. So like you would say, oh, but why do you believe in Prophet Muhammad and these miracles, they happened in the past, right? We have miracles we can see today with our own eyes.
I believe that in all these books, they all intermesh and they all give credence to one another because it's been one of the biggest hustles for a long time. So I would concede that in the Old Testament, you do find the name Allah and it is relating to an oath or a pledge or a cursing. You can find the word Allah in the concordance. It says A-L-A-H. It doesn't have the double L. But you
Yeah,
find Allah
Yeah, because the
mentioned
Hebrew
in
is
there. And
Hebrew is
also,
similar to
let
the
me just
Arabic.
finish.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
no,
go
it's
ahead.
all similar. It's all similar semantics. I understand that. It's part of the same family club, the Abrahamic club. Also, you can find the name Muhammad in the Songs of Solomon. I know that in terms of not literally saying Muhammad, but the definition of a word that is used in the Songs of Solomon renders Muhammad. So you can find all of these things in there because it's an Abrahamic framework. It's all connected. They all share the same jargon, same lingo.
I don't think he's realizing that he, yeah,
Sorry, are you in a meeting? I'm so sorry.
yes,
Can I just have this room when you're done?
yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, I don't think he understands that he's actually giving a lot of evidence for Islam right now. Like because he's saying, oh, but all these, they're all Abrahamic religions, and so they're all gonna have similarities. No, but the older books, the Old Testament, the New Testament, right, the Christian Jewish scriptures, they're talking about Arabs in the future. They're talking about a prophet who will come in the future, right? And their scriptures came way before Prophet Muhammad. So it actually, what he's doing right now is actually giving evidence for Islam.
Same this, same that. So it's not surprising that you see reoccurring elements within all of these frameworks. And it's not surprising that you see Greco mythology in the New Testament. And it's not surprising you see Egyptian mythology inside the Old Testament. It's not surprising.
Now again, he's not getting the point. What he's doing right now. He's saying, oh, but the Bible incorporates all these elements from past civilizations. But Islam, in terms of Prophet Muhammad coming to earth, that came after their scriptures. So it's not before, it's after. So it's completely different. It's prophesizing Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Their scriptures are mentioning someone to come in the future. That's the difference. So it's not just, oh, well, there's similar aspects and stuff. No. He's giving evidence to Islam right now.
Oh, that was interesting. I don't know how you're good for time, but I'm going to ask you probably one more question or two if you have time.
Yeah, but I feel like you've been asking the questions, but I haven't really been giving you my case of why I believe Prophet. Like, can we actually read the passage?
You want me to read the passage of how he split the moon, yeah?
No, the Isaiah 42 and all these prophecies and miracles. Because, like, you've been asking me questions, I've been giving you my answers. So let me show you why I believe Prophet Muhammad is the true prophet.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So can you actually?
You might
want to share
get
your
some people
screen?
Go ahead.
One second. Just put it in the comment section, and I'll just blow it up.
Okay, 1 second.
Just for the sake of time, man.
Let me give you the link.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a Bible website, just so people know that I'm not making this up, but it's actually a Christian website. All right, I put the link on the comment section.
Yeah, sure. What particular part do you want them to see? That's a long chapter you want us to read, man. What's this, a sermon? What's the key points?
Just share the screen for just that passage alone.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, there you go. So the point of this passage, basically, it's prophesizing someone to come in the future, right? This is a servant of God. It could be anyone, but as it goes on, it gets more and more specific that it's actually talking about someone who will make the Arabs happy. He will be
so let me just respond to, so someone on YouTube commented, if testimonies counted as evidence, every religion and every miracle claim on earth would be
the Arabian people happy.
Would be
will
true
spread
at once,
basically
right?
the oneness of
Again,
God.
remember, the testimonies for the miracles of Islam can be seen today, and even stuff like the moon splitting and stuff, that came from non-Muslim testimonies. So it's a big difference. But anyway, going back to the point.
His religion will prevail, and also it mentions that the people of Selah will sing for joy and they will shout even from the mountaintops. And when we actually Google Selah Mountain on Google, it's actually a mountain in Medina, the very city where Prophet Muhammad is buried. So this is a Jewish text, right, from basically Israel, Palestine, that area, talking about someone to come in the future. He will his religion will spread.
Right.
He will teach.
Let me tell you.
So
Let me tell you why I think Isaiah is a bunch of nonsense as well, with respect to Christians and the whole Abrahamic belief system. The Dead Sea Scrolls were found in 1945, between 1945 to 1948. Incidentally, random Muslim shepherds threw a stone into a cave. Bang! The cave exploded, and they found some scrolls. And one of the main scrolls they found was Isaiah. Is paraded in Israel in many places. It's like, yo, this is the cohesive glue that brings us all together. Because within Isaiah, every blimmin' Abrahamic person loves the Isaiah book, because in Isaiah, it gives people credence to the virginity of Mary, alleged, and that is what the Catholics use. That's what the Muslims use. That's what many people use that. Not only that, Jesus, when he first started his ministry, he quoted from Isaiah. So everybody likes this Isaiah thing. And you should ask why. When I started to see that 1948 is when they found this thing and the background story behind it and how this is the oldest surviving text that proves this and that, very suspect. Not only that, when you look at tourism and pilgrimage and money-making ventures, you see a mosque, you see, what's that place called? The Dome of the Rock, is it? Where you have the mosque, you have the, is it the synagogue or the church? Everyone's fighting for the land and all this kind of nonsense, trying to make their prophecies come true. So when it comes to Isaiah, essentially what I'm saying is there's a lot of people that love this book of Isaiah, not just Muslims, but Christians, Catholics, even Jews. Some of them, the Messianic Jews. Everybody has a stake in Isaiah. But what I would say, I agree that there are mentions. I wouldn't say this is mentioned him specifically, but you can say that if you want to. I'm not going to argue. I don't really care what people say or don't say about these books in terms of it's proving Muhammad, it's proving Jesus. I just care, is it facts or is it fiction? Are these stories factual or are these stories fictions?
Yeah, so again,
So Isaiah came, I think, maybe 1300, 1400 years before Prophet Muhammad, and his Isaiah in the Old Testament, in the Bible, their passages are prophesizing someone to come in the future, right? And this passage itself, specifically Isaiah 42, it mentions a chosen servant of God is going to come. That could be anyone, right? We don't know. But as the passage goes on, you realize it really is talking about Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. No one else fulfills this prophecy. And it's not a vague prophecy, it's very specific. It mentions that his religion will spread across the world. He'll preach monotheism. Those people who worshipped idols will be turned back in shame and in defeat. Prophet Muhammad, we know his story, his biography. What did he mainly do? Preach monotheism, and he fight idol worshippers among his people, and he tried to convert them to Islam. More specifically, this passage, even though he doesn't show it because he doesn't scroll down, I'll show you it right now. I'll show you guys on my screen. So this is Isaiah 42. If you guys read this person's, who this person is, the servant, he's connected with the people of Kedar and the people of Selah. Now, what is Kedar right here? Kedar, you see this person right here? This is basically the son of Ishmael. Right? Who is Ishmael? He's the ancestor of the Arabs and Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Prophet Muhammad, his lineage goes back to Kedar, which goes to Ishmael and Ishmael's father Abraham. Right? That's the Arab side. Abraham also had another son named Isaac. Isaac was the father of Jacob, or in Arabic we say Yaqub, and he had 12 sons, and basically that's where the Israelites and the Jews come from. So why is a Jewish text talking about where the Arabs live? They will become happy. Kind of interesting, right? So, but it gets more specific. It says, let the people of Selah sing for joy. Let them shout from the mountain tops. Right? So, if we just Google Selah Mountain. Selah Mountain is a mountain in Medina, in Saudi Arabia. Okay, why is a Jewish text talking about Medina? Whose city? What is Medina? It's the city of who? It's the city of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. He is buried here. You see this green dome? If you go directly under, he's buried somewhere there. So why is a Jewish text talking about the Arabs, is talking about Medina, is talking about Selah Mountain, is talking about someone to come in the future who is going to preach monotheism and defeat the idol worshippers, and the Arabs are going to become happy? This came 1,300 or 1,400 years before Prophet Muhammad. This prophecy was made in Isaiah, right? So he's like, oh, Isaiah is a bunch of nonsense and stuff. Look, we say, yeah, the older books they were corrupted. That's true, but they're still very specific in their prophecies, right? Because they're prophesying some other completely different people, the Arabs, right? A Jewish text is talking about the Arabs and someone to come, a servant of God who's connected to the Arabs. Who else in history fulfills this? It's very specific. So it's really strong evidence of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. It's very strong. It's not vague or, ambiguous prophecies. It's extremely specific. And if someone thinks someone else fulfilled this prophecy besides Muhammad, then, we will challenge them. We'll debate them. No problem.
Is the story of Isaiah 42 is incredibly specific, right? Now the Quran and Sunnah, again, we don't need Isaiah, we don't need the Old Testament, we don't need the New Testament, we don't need the older books. It's just to show that these are not just like regular prophecies. These are incredibly specific. A Jewish text is mentioning someone to come who will make the Arabs happy. He will preach monotheism, right? His religion will prevail. He will defeat his enemies, right? It's talking about...
Sorry, somebody just put in a comment. A Hindu king saw it and later embraced Islam. This was the first introduction of Islam into the Hindustan land.
Yeah, so the Hindu king, yeah, that's a good comment. The Hindu king did see the moon split. He embraced
I
Islam.
know you said. I
But,
know you said.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Islam
Like,
Islam did come to be
yeah,
fair.
and,
Islam actually
But
came
let
to
me
the
say
land
one
before,
parallel
yeah.
that I just saw in that whole narrative. All right. So when Constantine was starting this thing called Christianity and started writing,
So we kinda went
these
on to
Bible
another
books,
point,
or
but-
putting these Bible books together over various years and councils and this, that, and the other. The thing that sealed the story to him allegedly was that he saw the sun, and he saw something symbolic of Jesus within the sun, and that was enough for him to make his son religion about Jesus and the Son of God. Yeah. Then you have this Hindu king. Notice it's the same similar thematic undertone. This Hindu king, who's a pagan, just like Romans were pagans to the Christians. Now this Hindu king, he sees the moon getting split, and then he starts riding with the people who go under the banner of the moon, or Muhammad. That's a bit suspect, isn't it? A little bit suspect.
No.
Would you agree or disagree? One
No,
has the
it's
sun
highly
conversion,
specific
one has the
because
moon conversion.
Hindu,
Wow.
Yeah, well, number one, we believe in Jesus, right? So whatever Constantine saw, depending on what it was, could have been true. This Hindu king, he has no bias, right? He has no reason to. So he's a Hindu, he sees something, and he accepts Islam. That's just proof for Islam, right? We're not rejecting those other stories from Christians and Jews. It's possible.
I know you're not. I'm just saying it
Right.
from a zoomed out perspective.
Right? We just say,
the
where did they go
the
wrong,
conversions-
though? Right? Where did the
what I'm saying
Christians
is
go wrong?
What I'm saying is, from an outside perspective, they're all echo chambering a similar story, but for their target audience, and they have the same sales pitch. So Constantine, who was the Roman emperor or a king, he was converted from paganism, which was adverse to Christianity, based on the sun in the sky being the Son of God. This guy, who's a pagan to the Islamic faith and just pagan overall, yeah, he gets converted when he sees the moon get split in half.
Yeah, so my first point is...
Similar stories.
So like a comment just says, if testimonies counted as evidence, every religion and
I already
every
responded
miracle
to
claim
this,
on
but
earth would
okay.
be true at once. The difference is I'm showing you claims that you could see with your own eyes right now.
Yeah,
Just look
so
at the
let me
passage.
explain what's going on. He's talking about Constantine. Constantine was this, like, I believe one of the Roman emperors. He was a pagan and stuff, right? And Christianity was slowly spreading into the Roman Empire. Now, Constantine, this pagan, this non-Christian, he looks into the sky one day, and I think he sees, like, a cross or something, and I'm not sure if he sees certain words in the sky, but those words convince him to become a Christian. And he also had a dream about the cross and Christianity, and that's why he became a Christian. So this atheist point is, well, isn't that a sign of Christianity, right? And I'm also showing now that Hindus and their texts say that they saw the moon split, and it confirms what Islam says about the moon splitting, right? But he says, well, then why don't you accept Constantine's claims and become a Christian? Now, those accounts, they happened in the past, right? Maybe what Constantine saw, maybe Constantine did see those things. Maybe he didn't. Maybe the Hindu king saw the moon splitting. Maybe he didn't. Those are things in the past. I'm showing things we could see today. Prophecies and miracles of Prophet Muhammad we can see today with our own eyes to confirm. So it's very different.
Right? It's telling about someone to come in the future, right? A Jewish text is mentioning a person to come to the Arabs. He will preach monotheism, right? He will destroy pagan gods. Like this is actually mentioned in Isaiah 42. Those who say to statues, you are our gods, they will be defeated. It mentions that the people of Kedar, the Arabs, will become happy. It mentions the people of Selah, right, will become happy and shout for joy on the mountaintops. Literally, just Google S-E-L-A space mountain. It's a mountain in Medina.
It's
a
very
Jewish
specific.
text is prophesizing someone very important will come in the future.
This is, by the way, guys, this is
and-
why many of the Jews in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they accepted Islam. Well, actually, they came to Medina even before Prophet Muhammad. Why? Why did they leave their land to come to a city in a foreign land? Because they would say that our books tell us a prophet's going to come here, right? The Jews would mention that. And many of them did accept Islam, and many of them were stubborn. Like, they were the ones preaching this, but when Prophet Muhammad came, many of them also didn't accept Prophet Muhammad. So it's a bit ironic that some of the Jews, they were the ones preaching a prophet's going to come, and then when he comes to the very city they said he would come to, many of them didn't accept. But many of them also did accept, to be fair.
He is related to the city of Medina.
And by the way, guys, this is why a lot of the, in Medina, the pagan Arabs, they very quickly embraced Islam in Medina because the Jews were constantly telling them that a prophet would come here way before Prophet Muhammad was even born.
There's no one in history who fulfills that besides Muhammad, right? Google it right now, like share it on the screen. Sail a mountain, Google it.
All right. So this is what made you say, yeah, man, this is the nail in the coffin. This is why I believe what I believe. This is the be all and end all, right?
No, this is just one reason. There are hundreds more. Hundreds more miracles like this that you can see with your own eyes to this day. Not just miracles of the past, the Hindu king seeing the moon split, Constantine seeing this, because those were testimonies of the past, whether they happen or not. Allahu alam, God knows best. You could see these miracles and prophecies with your own eyes, so you don't have an excuse.
Sure. So this is it for you, yeah? So a lot of the times when Christians go to their verse that made them a Christian, they'll say John, the Gospel of John. But yours is Isaiah.
Yeah, but again, that's their own books. Like if I showed you, hey man, I read the Quran. Why do you believe the Quran is from God? Because it says so. That's circular reasoning. I'm showing a different text that's prophesizing about something in the future that confirms Islam, and it's not general. It's incredibly specific. Who else in history, right, in Arabia, spread monotheism, destroyed all of his enemies, right, made the people of Arabia happy, made the people of Medina happy, right? It's like it's just shouting Muhammad to you and shouting Muhammad to me, and that's why a lot of Jews in the time of Muhammad accepted Islam. And this is just one miracle, right? This is just one prophecy. We have hundreds more, right? But Google it on the screen, so maybe you could show the people yourself. Just Google.
You need to differentiate sometimes as well. You keep using these terms synonymously, miracle and prophecy.
Prophecies is a subtype of miracles. Yeah.
A miracle is something that can't be explained, so we say God did it, or when people don't want evidences, people say miracle, miracle, miracle. It's a way.
Yeah, a miracle, he said, is something that can't be explained. No, a miracle is something that can't be explained naturally, meaning with natural explanations. It doesn't mean there's no explanation whatsoever. We would say the explanation is Allah, all right? Like if someone was like born from a virgin, or if someone, was in a fire and didn't get any single burn, right? Those are miracles.
In a way from being intellectually honest and saying this is made up. But prophecy is something that someone predicts, and if it's a prediction, we should be able to test it if it's factual. But sometimes, just like in the case of the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, sometimes these events are written after events and then labeled up as if they're prophetic.
Yeah, that's possible. That could happen, right? Like a Muslim,
Sure.
right? Like it's possible. Someone could invent like something could happen right now, and a Muslim could just invent a text. Hey, the Prophet Muhammad said that this will happen, right? But the guy just made up the text himself. But this is Isaiah 42. This predates Muhammad by thousands of years,
Yeah.
right?
So you can't say Muslims made
I
this
think
up.
maybe,
It's
I think
ridiculous.
this came maybe more than 1,000 years before Muhammad.
It's a Jewish
So it
text
couldn't have been
talking
a
about
Muslim just
Arabs
making this
and,
up. Right. This is why the Jews in Medina, why are they not in current day Palestine, right? They
But
went to
you would
Medina
agree
because their book mentions this.
You would
prophecy.
agree that Muhammad was a very what's the word to describe him? He was a man who had access to a lot of information in the occupation that he worked in.
He was very illiterate. He was illiterate.
Yeah, he was illiterate, but he was allegedly he was illiterate, but he was a part of a
Allegedly.
occupation.
Everyone
where you
agrees
have
that he was
access to
illiterate, though.
information. Do you know what his occupation was?
He was a merchant.
Merchant. What merchants have access to information, don't they? So he could have heard people talking about certain things and started putting his book together. Because how late did the Quran come after the Bible?
610 years.
That's a lot of years for everyone would have heard certain stories circulating and stuff like that to start doing your own spin-off.
No,
I mean,
but
look at-
Isaiah 42
just to use
existed
a
even when
case
he wasn't
study.
born.
Yeah, basically what he's trying to say
I
is,
hear
well,
that.
Prophet Muhammad, he could have heard this story about Isaiah or whatever, and then Prophet Muhammad could have been like, you know what, I'm this guy, and I'm going to be the one to fulfill this prophecy. That's very risky. It's extremely risky to think that, okay, maybe this prophecy is talking about me, I'm going to be the one to fulfill this prophecy. Then he has to fight his own people, get kicked out of his land, his uncle dies, his first wife died, the Muslims were extremely hungry, they were going through extreme persecution, they're going through all of these troubles, and even Prophet Muhammad, if he wanted fame and power, right, the Arabs actually, his own tribe would come to him and be like, look, we'll let you marry whoever you want, we'll make you a king, we'll give you all the money you want, just stop preaching what you're preaching. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, if they put, I believe he told his uncle, if they put the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left, I still wouldn't give this message up. So clearly his motivation was not power, it was not money, it was not wealth, it was not woman, right? So if he has no motive to spread this message, if he has no material motive, then what motive could he had? What was his motive? Maybe he was an actual prophet of God, right? So
Yeah, you understand my point. Yeah.
What I'm saying, not everyone agrees with what you're rendering. That is Muhammad.
Okay,
Not
so who
everyone
else would it
agrees,
be?
it's Muhammad.
Who else came to Arabia? Because we have to be fair. Maybe it's right if someone says this is not Muhammad. Okay,
Well,
show me
Paul
one
went to
person
Arabia.
in
I could do
history.
devil's advocate and just be stupid. I don't really care about these potential characters in the book, right? But Paul
No,
said
but
he
they're
went to
important
Arabia
because
too.
they're
He said, "Is that
specific
fulfillment?"
prophecies. They're either true or they're false.
Yeah, Paul said, I went into Arabia. So he might be Muhammad then. Does matter?
yeah,
bro.
let's actually challenge this. Paul, he says he went to Arabia. Okay, did he defeat any idol worshippers? No, he didn't. Does he have any connection to Medina, to Salah Mountain? No, he doesn't. So, like, clearly Paul does not fit this message at all, right?
Let's test this. Let's test this. Right?
No, we don't. I don't, bro. I don't.
You don't wanna
actually
debate
care
it.
about testing it.
You don't want to test
No,
prophecies.
because
I thought you were a guy who likes to
because I-
test, evidences and everything.
You can test it if you want, bro. If it makes you happy, right?
No, it's not about just making me happy. It's about the truth, right? You want to go to
I
paradise.
want you to prove. I want you to prove.
Because
the
you're
moon,
going to
bro.
die
That's
and
what
you-
I want.
right?
Listen.
You don't want to go to
prophecy,
hell forever.
prophet.
Yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
sure. Now you're doing a threatening thing like a Christian. That's
No,
fine.
but you said,
That's
you
what
don't
I'm
have
saying.
to test it.
You
said
guys
no,
do
but
the same stuff.
Sal, with all due respect.
You guys do the
You say
same
sound and
stuff with
logical,
respect.
and you say, you don't
He
you want to
muted.
test
All
it?
right, so
He muted me. Yeah,
I
so
wanted to-
basically he said himself, we don't have to test this. But aren't you the guy, the atheists, they say that, we're all about testing things and evidence and logic and reason. And he himself just said, we don't have to test anything. Right? And then he mutes me because I get a bit angered. I got angry from what he said, that we don't have to test anything. Right? People say, religious people, we have no evidence and all this stuff. And, I'm showing him all these evidences, but he doesn't want to test it.
Muted
down
my
this
mic.
proof
And
of
he
this
mutes
moon,
my
because
mic.
everybody can see the moon. Everybody can see and have access to the moon. He should be able to prove the moon. I got other things that I would like him to prove. I want him to prove these miracle claims. Miracles are different from prophecies. Every man and their dog has a prophecy. Yeah? Christians will argue about their prophecies. Muslims will argue about their prophecies. Jews will argue about their prophecies. Cool, that's fine. Now let's start proving some of these miracles that we're supposed to believe in by faith, because it's in a book. Let's start proving that. Let's see if they can prove that, or they're willing to prove that, rather than just filibustering and going off on sermons.
I
Just
wasn't going
facts.
off on sermons, I was
But
giving
do
evidence,
respect
but
this
okay.
guy, only for this point that he said that, God possibly could have used sperm,
He's going
to
back to
impregnate
sperm
Mary.
and semen.
but then he
He's
tried
so
to
obsessed
divorce
with
the sperm,
sperm and semen for some reason.
to Allah, and say Allah just made it, but it doesn't mean it comes from Allah. Started just doing pure word salad, just like the Christians do.
I explained it all, and
Because
he's
they
saying
all
it's word
agree
salad,
on the core
and
stories,
dude still can't
but
understand the
they
point.
disagree at convenient times. Why is that? But if this guy can explain the miracle, I'm all ears. I'm all ready to hear.
All right, can
I'm
I
a judge.
He gives
respond?
no explanation for Isaiah, by the way.
Man,
Oh, no,
country,
he
says
if
he's
you
ready
start
to
doing
hear,
the
but-
insult- If you start doing the insulting thing, bro, you just get muted for the insults. Let's stay on topic, bro. Let's
Yeah,
stay on the
but
topic.
what got me upset
No,
is you
there's
said
no but. There's no but. We just stay on topic, bro. We stay on topic. Prove the moon thing.
no, but you got
outside
kicked
of the
out from a
Hindu-
stream for
outside
this
of-
reason.
Yeah, sure. I want you to prove, bro.
Okay, again, the moon splitting was seen by Hindus, right? That came in the past. Now the Hindus, you muted.
That was an accident, bro.
Oh,
Continue.
yeah, no
continue.
problem. So again, the Hindus say that actually no, the moon did split, right? And that's why their king became Muslim, and many Hindus of India in a particular region, they actually share this account. Now again, my point is, maybe they were telling the truth, maybe they were lying. Muslims said it happened, Hindus said it happened. Now the fact that Hindus said it gives some evidence of Islam because, it's not biased. They're not originally Muslims. Why would they just make up the story, right?
Can I answer that
but
quickly?
yeah,
Answer it
I'm
quickly.
almost done.
Land the
Almost
plane.
done. Almost
Let me-
done. Almost
let me
done.
just
Wait,
answer
wait.
that part
1 second.
quickly.
1
Let me
second,
answer
please.
that. Let me answer
1
that.
second.
Let me
Give me 1
answer that
second.
very quickly.
Yeah,
In the Bible, in the Bible, Jesus gets crucified, right? And the blood pours on a Roman centurion. Romans were antithetical to the followers of Jesus, right? They were like rivals then, all right? So in the Bible story, the blood pours on this centurion. He goes, truly, this was the Son of God. This is the argument that you're bringing, the strawman. But they're an enemy, they're a rival, and they're giving it credence. So, there might be some credibility in it. Nah, not at all.
Okay,
We
can
want
I
facts.
finish?
The moon's in the sky, prove it.
Yeah, okay, again. So, but again, I'm not saying that those testimonies of those accounts, right, maybe they were true, maybe they were false, right? I'm looking at things I could see with my own eyes today. That's the whole point of bringing all these prophecies, right? People, yeah, if miracles happened in the past, so many people shared it, maybe it was true, maybe it was false, right? I wasn't there to verify. That's the whole point of sharing you all these prophecies, which I can see with my own eyes today. Now, there are two types of prophecies. One could be incredibly vague and general, and others could be incredibly specific. Like, so for example, Sal, if I said tomorrow,
Yeah, sorry guys. I had to pray. Then I went out somewhere, so I'm just gonna continue the video.
some guy is going to die, I'm a prophet. Would you believe me? I'm a prophet. Would you believe me? Yes or no?
It's very vague, mate.
Yeah, it's very vague, right? You'd be like, what an idiot. Anyone can predict someone's going to die tomorrow. Everyone knows that somewhere on the earth, people die every moment.
If I'm part of an organization that sets things in advance and then makes a prediction, just like The Simpsons, people think Simpsons are prophets. You can do that. It's called predictive programming.
Yeah, but there's a certain level you reach where it doesn't become naturally. You can't explain it naturally. Like, so that's a stupid prophecy was the one like I mentioned. A very incredibly specific prophecy. Now, if I say, hey guys, tomorrow everybody who is taller than 6 feet and wears glasses will die, and that happens, that's very strange that person got that prediction right? That shows that there's something beyond naturalistic explanation now. The prophecies of Islam are like this. This is my point.
All right, give some prophecies for future events then that we can be like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, sure. So, well, number one, this was one of them, right? This was one.
That's a past event because that's in the past. Like the whole story of that is in the past. Muhammad's in the past. Give us.
So he says, oh, but this passage of Isaiah is in the past and Prophet Muhammad coming. Yeah, that's in the past, but it's still, the passage itself predates Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So it's still future in the sense that it's talking about something to come in the future, which we can verify historically that Prophet Muhammad did actually fulfill this very specific prophecy of Isaiah. But beyond the point, I'll show him more prophecies.
Future prophecy from Muhammad that we can see today.
Yeah, so number two...
That's not... That is unique to Islam, and you can't find it in Christianity and all different religious books and mythologies. Come, let's hear.
Sure. So number two, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he mentioned that the people where basically where the Bedouins reside, the Eastern Arabs, so the Arabian Peninsula, they will compete with each other in building tall buildings, extremely tall buildings. Now, in the time of Prophet Muhammad, and basically through even like honestly until like a century or two ago, the Arabs have been a very poor people, extremely poor, right? Them building tall buildings and Prophet Muhammad saying the buildings of Mecca will actually be taller than Mecca and the Bedouins of Arabia will compete in building tall buildings. Today, the tallest buildings in the world are in Eastern Arabia.
Yeah, I said the buildings of Mecca will be taller than Mecca. I meant to say the buildings of Mecca will be taller than the mountains of Mecca. But continuing on.
Countries like Dubai, countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like Qatar, right? And of course, they didn't even have the money to do this until 1 or 2 centuries before when they got all their oil. So it was just ridiculous for them to think that the Arabs would actually do that. That's just one prophecy.
So prophecy is, in the last days, people will build high buildings to dwell in.
Yeah, but their hadith that specifically mentions the Bedouins of Arabia.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so who would he mention? Would he mention the Chinese? Would he mention the Anglo-Saxons, if they're not part of that same tectonic plate, of course you'd mention who you can see.
No, but the
It's
point
quite vague.
is,
It is quite vague.
no.
That's not
But
vague.
again, the Persians had lots of wealth in the time of Prophet Muhammad. The Romans had lots of wealth. The Arabs have been poor on even not just in his time, for honestly since probably the 1800s, right? It was only until maybe a century ago where they got all these oil reserves and stuff that they started like look at Dubai like 100 years ago and look at Dubai now. It's like a sudden shock, like out of nowhere. These people who just had the desert and tents started building not just tall buildings, but the tallest buildings of the whole world. So it's incredibly specific.
And for you, that's a reliable prophecy. That's like it's some Nostradamus thing. Like I could make a prophecy now that in the future, I think people will be living inside their games, their video games. Or I make something as vague as that.
Yeah, so the reason why what this guy says is, oh, well, I can make a prediction in the future that we're going to live in video games, right? Now we have things like, what do they say? Metaverse or Meta or whatever Facebook or Meta is doing. I don't know. They're trying to make people live in a simulated reality. But that's something that anyone today can make that prediction. In the time of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, the Arabs were extremely poor. They had like no wealth. Like even when Prophet Muhammad gained power and victory, the Arabs still didn't have that much to eat. Like they were very poor people. At that time, the Romans and the Persians, they were superpowers. So Prophet Muhammad could easily say, oh yeah, the Romans are going to build tall buildings. The Persians are going to build tall buildings, right? That's like, anyone can make that prediction. But he says, no, my people, meaning the Muslims, and not just the Muslims, specifically the Bedouins, they will be the ones constructing tall buildings. The Arabs didn't really build much. They were always a poor people until recently with the discovery of oil reserves. Now, if we look actually in Arabia, this is a map of Arabia. Back then, in the time of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad lived around here, right? Mecca, Medina, the west. Right? This is known as the Hejaz, and those were cities. In that time, the Bedouins would live throughout the desert, and they didn't have cities, and that was more around central Arabia or eastern Arabia, right? They didn't have that many developed cities or not. It was just Bedouins, nomads, living in the desert. Now, the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that the Bedouins will be the ones actually competing and building all these tall towers. Where did they reside? Central and eastern Arabia, right, in the Arabian Peninsula. So now we look today, in today's countries, like we have countries like Qatar, and we have United Arab Emirates. If you just do a quick Google search, right, the tallest building in the world is the Burj Khalifa, located in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. So it's a very amazing prophecy. Now someone can say, well, anyone can make a prediction that some people are going to make tall buildings. But the exact location, Prophet Muhammad was talking about the Bedouins competing and building the tall buildings, and now they have the tallest buildings. Not to mention the Arabs have always been historically poor. They miraculously, out of nowhere, just got oil reserves. So it's almost as if it's a double prophecy. It's not just that they're going to build tall buildings, but they're going to suddenly become rich in order for them to build tall buildings. So it's not vague at all. It's very specific.
Yeah?
I wouldn't
Looking
say
at the way society is
say it's
moving,
vague.
with Mohammed being a merchant, knowing about building an infrastructure passively or directly, knowing where civilization is moving, him saying, oh, in the future, people are going to have big buildings, tall buildings. The Bedouins, this particular tribe of people, are going to have rags to riches in the future, essentially is what you're saying. And that's a prophecy to you.
Yeah, but it's incredibly specific because number one, why would the Muslims just what? Oh, we want to show that Islam is true, so let's just make tall buildings. Well, you got to have the wealth first. But even the wealth was sudden. It came out of literally nowhere, right? Just a century ago. So it is incredibly
specific. It came
specific.
from doing business with oil and various entities that took part in that
Yeah, but them getting the oil was sudden. It just came out of nowhere.
Blood money, to be fair, not even good money, but blood money. So yeah, if you want to go and say
Yeah, they'll be
this
held
is
accountable for that. But the point is, they got wealth out of nowhere. No one could have thought the Arabs would have become suddenly so rich. But it's not just them becoming rich. It even gives you the region of the peninsula, and it even tells you which type of people would do it, right? And if you actually like literally just do a simple Google search, tallest building in the world, it will be in Burj Khalifa, Dubai, Eastern Arabia.
I get what you're saying. Just to simplify what you're saying, the Hadith proves Islam. Look at our skyscrapers.
Yeah, that's just one specific prophecy. There are others too.
All right, let's hear some more, because that is a bit. Let's be honest, it is a bit vague, because even when you read the Bible, there was people.
It's very
building
specific, but he keeps saying vague.
It's not a unique
right?
thing about
the prophecy is giving you the exact location. Who will make these tall towers? What region? And he's saying, no, this is just vague.
The Persians, the Ugaritic, everyone was building buildings. In fact, to honor a god or to honor a king, just like the Taj Mahal in India, people built elaborate buildings.
So what this guy has to take into consideration is that the Arabs have always been historically poor. Even when the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, when the Arabs were conquering the Romans and the Persians and fighting those superpowers, they didn't have many resources or equipment, right? Even that is sort of strange that they were able to defeat those two superpowers at the same time. So it wasn't just like they were like the Arabs were like some other civilization. They were extremely poor. In fact, they didn't have a civilization until Islam, basically. Besides that, the Arabs were just people living in the desert who didn't have much knowledge, didn't have much power, much influence. They were in the middle of the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire, and those two superpowers didn't care about conquering the Arabs, or at least most of the Arabs, because they didn't see any benefit of conquering the Arabs because they had nothing to contribute. This was the case only until Islam came. And then the Arabs became a civilization, and then Islam expanded, and so on.
Built let's say landscape-wise, some built them vertically, like or portrait, or whatever you want to call it. It's not necessarily a unique thing to say. Like I could say in the future, there's going to be World War IV, and this and that's going to happen. It's not specific. It's quite vague.
Yeah, so I would argue that it is specific, because if the Prophet, let's say he made it all up, he could have easily said, well, the Romans, they already have so much wealth and we're a poor people. Yeah, the Romans are going to start building tall towers, right? The Chinese, the Persians, right? The fact that he's choosing his own people and a specific part of his own people who are incredibly
I've got some prophet.
Yeah, so you understand, it is specific, yeah. At least you acknowledge
Yeah,
the point.
I've got some... I didn't acknowledge it, I just said...
Oh, I thought you said okay. I thought you
No,
said,
I mean, like, okay, like, let's move on to another prophecy. Because he has predicted some things, like he predicted the Byzantines would defeat the Persians within a few years.
Yeah, nobody thought that.
It's very vague.
No, that's incredibly specific too.
Vague.
You want to go to that one? We could talk about that one.
Yeah, so after being badly beaten, so they got beat up and then they beat them. So it's like there's a lot of things that people say that don't come true, and then they have to retrofit it to fit the narrative.
Yeah, so Bismillah. So the Quran actually mentions chapter 30, verse 2 to 4. The Byzantines, or you could say the Romans, but more accurately it's the Byzantines, Eastern Rome. The Byzantines have been defeated in a nearby land. Then they will reverse their defeat with a victory within 3 to 9 years. So, in the time of Prophet Muhammad, you had the pagan Arabs fighting the Muslims just in Arabia, but they were, at that time kind of small in their power. The two superpowers of the time were the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire, right? So now Rome was getting beaten badly by Persia, to such an extent that the Roman emperor kind of had to beg the Persian emperor, yo, chill. He was trying to make treaties with them and everything. And even it's not just Prophet Muhammad. Now, people could say, oh, this is a 50-50 guess. The Persians could have won. The Romans could have won. But even non-Muslim historians, they mentioned that this prophecy coming true, and not just coming true specifically within 3 to 9 years after Prophet Muhammad made this prophecy, is incredibly unlikely. So, for example, the historian Edward Gibbon, he mentions...
what if when you're writing these prophecies, you can see that the other party is coming back? You understand? So let's say I write a prophecy now about America versus, I don't know, just some country, and America's getting beat. But in the time I'm writing it, I can see America recovering. So then I write, yo, America will conquer. It's not watertight.
Yeah, so in the time when this prophecy was made, the Romans were not recovering. They were begging, literally, that, hey guys, chill and we want peace, right? They weren't recovering at all, right? It took them many years later for them to finally recover. I believe it was 7 or 8, but it was somewhere between 3 or 9 years. So they didn't see them recovering at all. In fact, the Muslims were closer with the Byzantines, right? The Christians. The polytheists of Arabia, the pagans, they were closer with the Persian Empire because their religion was more similar. So the Muslims wanted the Byzantines to win over Persia, and the pagans of Arabia wanted the Persians to win over the Byzantines. But when this prophecy was made, everyone was expecting the Persians to win, because everyone thought that the Byzantines were just going to fall, their empire was going to collapse. And that didn't happen. And even non-Muslim professors say that this is an extremely unlikely prophecy that came true. And what motive would Prophet Muhammad have to make this prophecy? It's extremely risky, right? I'll explain more as we go on.
My thing. It's not as watertight.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But in the time of Prophet Muhammad, it wasn't like that. The Romans were not bouncing back. They were getting destroyed.
I get it.
So it wasn't. It didn't take like one day, right? It took many years. Historians say that it was incredibly unlikely. The Roman Empire had to send a letter to beg the Persians. Everyone thought that this was a ridiculous prophecy. But what's more interesting is that the Prophet said that this will happen within 3 to 9 years. Now, see, if I'm a liar, I would tell you, okay, it's going to happen in 50 years or 100 years. Because if I'm a liar, 100 years, I'll probably die. Well, I got away with it. But why would
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you get the point. But why would he say 3 to 9 years? Why? Because he is still likely to be alive at that time. So if it didn't come true, that's a very risky prophecy, right? A liar wouldn't make that type of prophecy.
Yeah, so to explain this point, a false prophet, what he does is he makes prophecies that he can get away with. What do I mean by that? So there's this guy named Mirza Ghulam Ahmad who claimed to be a prophet, but he's just a straight up false prophet. He makes prophecies like this. Well, if I'm a true prophet, you're gonna die before me, and if I'm a false prophet, then I'll die before you. Okay. Now, if the other guy dies, right, then the guy will just say, "See, I'm a true prophet. I said I was gonna live first." But if you die first and the other guy lives, well, then you made all those false prophecies, but you died and you sort of got away with it. Of course, we don't think they got away with it because Allah will question them on Judgment Day, but they probably don't even believe in Judgment Day. They're making up all these false claims. So a false prophet will make dumb prophecies like that. Oh, if I'm a prophet, you're going to die first, but if I'm a false prophet, I'll die first. There's no risk in that, right? You either get the prophecy right, or you die, but by that time you kind of got rid of the risk because you died. You think you got away with it. Here in this prophecy, Prophet Muhammad, he's saying that the Romans will defeat the Persians in 3 to 9 years. Why is this a very risky prophecy? Because in 3 to 9 years, Prophet Muhammad is still likely to be alive. So if he gets the prophecy wrong, everyone will just say, well, you got the prophecy wrong and you're clearly a false prophet. And then all the Muslims will just turn against him. So it's extremely risky, this prophecy. And it came true, despite it being unlikely. And it came true within that 3 to 9 year period that Prophet Muhammad said.
Sure. In terms of that prophecy, I would concede to that point about making a prophecy within someone's lifetime to hold them accountable. All right?
Yeah.
I'm glad that he conceded to this at least he was honest enough to understand that, okay, this is actually pretty risky prophecy, and it came true. He conceded it with his own words.
Yo,
I would agree with
Sal,
that,
my
because
father is calling me. It's about 2 a.m.
Sure.
here in New York.
Yeah, no problem. No
I
problem,
guess you're
no
UK time.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not even UK, but yeah, sure.
Mate, you have a
It's-
nice accent, man. Are you from the UK, no?
Yeah, and that was pretty much the end of the stream because we were chatting up around like 2 in the morning. So, and then my father was calling me to come home. I was having this live stream in the mosque, in the masjid. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. So, leave your comments below, guys. Subscribe, share, comment, like, and yeah, tell me your thoughts. Leave comments below. Thank you so much, guys. Jazakallahu khairan. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك